To enter the Service Diagnostics mode, press and hold the freezer up and down temperature pads at the same time for 5 seconds. On activation, all LEDs on the display will illuminate. Pressing the Fresh Food Up key will illuminate the two displays. Pressing the Fresh Food Up key again will blank the displays. Pressing the Fresh Food Up key again will begin the first test. The test number will appear in the Fresh Food display. When the on-off pad is pressed, the part being tested will appear in the freezer display. To step to the next test, use the Fresh Food Up key. Test 28 is the dispenser paddle test. Press the dispenser paddle to test it. On will be displayed if it is working correctly. Test number 1 is the standard compressor test. Push the on-off pad and the compressor will run. Push the on-off pad again and it will stop running. If the unit has a VCC compressor, this test will not exist and will be replaced with test 38. Test number 2 is the defrost heater test. Push the on-off pad and the heater will come on. Push the on-off pad again and the heater will go off. Test number 3 is the fresh food compartment lighting test. Push the on-off pad, then open the fresh food door, and the fresh food compartment lights will come on. Push the on-off pad again to cancel the test. Test number 8 is the water valve test, focusing on the water dispenser only. Place a cup underneath to catch any water that dispenses. Push the on-off pad to activate, and push the on-off pad again to deactivate. Test number 9 is the freezer compartment lighting test. Push the on-off pad and the freezer lights will come on. Push the on-off pad again and the freezer lights will go off. Test number 10 is the auger motor test. Remove the ice container before starting this test. Push the on-off pad to activate. Then press in the door switch as shown to activate the auger motor. Push the on-off pad again to deactivate. Test number 11 is the Cube Crush solenoid test. Be sure the ice container has been reinstalled before starting this test. Push the on-off pad to activate. Push the on-off pad again to deactivate. Test 41 is the Perfect Temp Drawer test. Push the on-off pad to activate the Perfect Temp Drawer. Push the on-off pad again to deactivate. Test 15 is the evaporator fan motor test. Push the on-off pad and the fan will run at low speed. Push the on-off pad and the fan will run at full speed. Push the on-off pad again and the fan will stop running. Test 22 is the damper test. Push the on-off pad and the damper will open. Push the on-off pad again and the damper will close. Test 36 is the ice door test. Push the on-off switch and the ice door should open. Push the on-off pad again to close the ice door. Test 23 is the fresh food door test. The freezer display will show OP for open when the door is open. Press in the door switch and the display should show a CL for close. Test 24 is the freezer door test. The freezer display will show OP for open when the door is open. Press in the door switch and the display should show a CL for close. Test 26 is the defrost limit switch test. The display will show OP if the switch is open and CL if the switch is closed. Test 29 is the fresh food thermistor test. The fresh food thermistor can be located inside the fresh food cabinet. Once the test is selected, the thermistor's current temperature should be displayed. Pressing the on-off pad will switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius. If the thermistor is open, an OP will display once the test is selected. If the thermistor is shorted, an SH will display once the test is selected. Test 30 is the freezer thermistor test. The freezer thermistor can be located inside the auger assembly. Once the test is selected, the thermistor's current temperature should be displayed. Pressing the on-off pad will switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius. If the thermistor is open, an OP will display once the test is selected. If the thermistor is shorted, an SH will display once the test is selected. Test 33 is the ambient thermistor test. The ambient thermistor can be located on the main power board. Once the test is selected, the thermistor's current temperature should be displayed. Pressing the on-off pad will switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius. If the thermistor is open, an OP will display once the test is selected. If the thermistor is shorted, an SH will display once the test is selected. Test 34 will display what software is on the control boards. Test 34 is the last test. 34 will not show in the display. Test 34 is broken down into 4 separate tests. Test 0 is the system parameters. Push the on-off pad to activate. Test 1 is confirming the lower control board. Push the on-off pad to activate. Test 2 is the software on the lower control board. Push the on-off pad to activate. Test 3 is confirming the upper control board. Push the on-off pad to activate. Test 4 is the software on the user interface board. Push the on-off pad to activate. Test 5 is empty. Pressing the Fresh Food Up key again will allow the display to count up in seconds. Press the on-off key to start the count. This will continue until you exit the test mode. To exit the Service Diagnostics mode, press and hold the Fresh Food Temperature Up key for 5 seconds.